What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back today to the channel. Today's video is going to be talking about extending some safety jack stands for all you lifted truck guys out there. I have had the 12-ton safety jacks from Harbor Freight for quite a while now, and they're awesome. Taking the truck up to 10 inches. I don't know if you've seen it on the channel, but I have a 10-inch lifted F250 that we've been putting the lift on for a while and doing a bunch of powder coat and all kinds of stuff. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. Check out the channel. Check out some of my older videos that I've been posting here in the last couple of weeks. We've got HUGE steering, a couple other things on the truck, but enough of that. Let's get right into this video. We're going to show you how to safely extend some 12-ton floor jacks, or safety jacks I should say, from Harbor Freight. They're already pretty big to begin with, but for all of you lifted truck guys out there, or even just leveled and stuff, if you're wanting to get the truck high up off the ground and secure it by the frame, or just a higher point like on the bumper, like some main bumper brackets on the front. I know the F250s have a humongous big bracket like on the front bumper. So we're gonna go ahead and show you what we done, give you all of the measurements, talk about all the supplies and everything that you need. This does require some welding, so let's get right into it. So right here we have our 12-ton Harbor Freight Pittsburgh safety jack, and to the left here we have our extended one. Comparing both of them together, the lifted one or extended one is exactly 10 inches taller. You get 10 inch more of reach out of it, and these jacks right here are already pretty big. So just to show you kind of a comparison, just normally this is a 3-ton jack, you know, used for cars, smaller trucks, everything else. This is the 12-ton, so it's already a super beefy setup, 24,000 pound rating. And then Harbor Freight also offers the 6-ton jack, which is like a size in the middle that you could also do this to. Of course, the measurements and all that stuff may be different to get this exact reach. So let's get right into the video. We're gonna go ahead and go over everything that you're gonna need. So we're gonna go over how much angle iron you're gonna need. I've got all of the measurements right here on my phone, and I'm gonna go over them with you here in depth a little bit with some pieces that we already have pre-cut and pre-labeled, just to make the video a little bit simpler and understandable. This is all of the steel that you will need, the angle iron, to build one jack stand. This is what you will need to extend one of them. 16 inches is for the legs, the 17.5s are for the cross bracing, and the 12.5 is for the cross bracing. So over here you've got your 16-inch legs, you've got your 17.5-inch cross braces, and your 12.5-inch cross braces. So I've got it all right here on my phone, just a bunch of simple math. You've got 50 inches, 128 inches, 70 inches, all of that adds up and calculates out to 21 feet pretty much. So most of the metal places around here locally anyway sell it by the 20-foot stick, and you can have them chop it into two 10-foot pieces. That's what we done. That's what worked out the best for us. But you will need an overall of 21 feet of 2-inch by 2-inch, 3/16 inch thickness angle iron. So we're gonna go ahead and get a little bit of footage of Charles welding on the factory one. He already knocked this one out earlier. We do still have to do some angle cuts to the bottom, and so stay tuned to watch what we do in the video. We're going to be doing that tomorrow, which you won't know that in the video, but that's going to be tomorrow and filmed later on. But it will be in this video to show what we do to get a better surface area and even weight distribution out of this jack stand. We're going to be putting some plate steel on the bottom, leveling it out, showing you how to cut all that, etc. Also, humongous shout out. Whoa! Ow! Oh. Humongous shout out to Charles for welding these up for me. He does all of the welding. I know on my YouTube channel we built the HUGE steering kit and everything. He welded in all of the bungs. We built a bunch of traction bars together. Charles is my main go-to man for any welding that I need. So go give him a follow below at Carl's Ching on Instagram. It's going to be popping up on the screen right here. But I just wanted to pop back up here and tell you, you buy a couple flat discs for your grinder. Super important for welding. If you're going to be doing the welding, you probably already know that, but super important if you're new to welding to flat disc and clean all of your surfaces, because you want proper bonding of the metals to join together and all that. Of course, proper welder settings and amperage and all of that stuff, wire feed speed. You want all of that to be perfect for the thickness of the metals and everything that you're working on. So anyway, let's get into welding these things up. When you're welding these legs on, we have our 16-inch legs. There's gonna be 4 of them, of course, 1 on each leg. We wanted to go up along the original jack, you know, the original metal, at least 4 inches, so then you've got plenty of surface area to weld to and get a good structural bond. And then of course your bracing and everything will go somewhere, you know, I'll show you that here in a little bit. So Charles has got the leg mounted up, and he's going to explain to you all how to get it perfectly centered and at 4 inches and square with the original jack stand.
So odds are, if you're building these, you have some vice grips or something you can use to clamp this on. These are welding clamps, but all you're going to do is you're going to measure from the peak of the jack stand, so the very far corner, 4 inches down. So that's where I got my mark from. And then you clamp it up roughly, and then I use a hammer just to go ahead and make sure that it gets exactly dead in line with that mark. And then I also take a hammer and tap the corner of the angle iron to settle it onto the jack stand, because the jack stand's just a piece of metal cut out on a laser jet and then stamped into this shape, so it's not a perfect 90-degree angle like the angle iron is. So if you just tap the corner, then it centers it on to the jack stand itself to make sure that it's all symmetrical.
Yep, and then just tighten up those clamps, make sure it's all solid. And yeah, so Charles is gonna go ahead and weld one of these legs on, and then we'll kind of show you that, and then we're gonna knock out all 4 legs, and then we'll explain the bracing and the measurements and all of that we kind of went with.
Alright guys, so we finished welding this one leg on. As you can see, you need to weld in the inside of the jack. It's going to come with these factory tabs. They're kind of like feet. Just leave those in for support, and then you're going to weld around the whole thing. And we're going to go ahead and knock the rest of these legs out, and we'll get back to you on the bracing.
Okay guys, so Charles just finished up welding the second one. He is going to go over the bracing and a little bit of thought process behind it, and then show you how to center all of them, which pieces go where, etc. So here's Charles.
So what we did for the bracing, on the factory jack, they have this A-frame design. So what we did with your 12.5-inch piece, you're gonna come in here, and it's gonna go right at the bottom of the factory jack feet to finish the A-frame on equal sides. As you can see on the finished one, we have the 12.5-inch brace welded in to complete the A-frame effect. So now you're going to move on to the 17.5. So on the side that already has the A-frame design is where you're going to take your 17.5-inch piece, and it's going to come up in here. And where it's 17.5 inches, it's going to go in here and it's going to stop in the edges of the legs. And all you're going to do is measure from the corner to the edge of the angle iron and make that equal on both sides, and that's where you're going to weld it in.
So we're going to go ahead and show you how he does that right quick, and then he's going to weld those in, and we're going to continue on. And this one is finished out and braced up, but it does not have the feet on it. We still have to take and angle cut the bottoms, which we'll show you just here in a second to show you how you get the jack to sit level on the ground. And then we're going to put some feet on the bottom of it to disperse the weight more evenly. And it also helps if you ever want to use the jack stands in gravel or on softer blacktop. It's not going to dig into your blacktop or your gravel as bad. So Charles is going to go ahead and show you how he does the bracing and talk you through that so you can get it all perfectly centered and all of that. Kind of common sense, but for some people who are just learning and all of that, they will want us to be in depth with this. So I just try to make the best videos that I possibly can and in depth, so you can skip through if you need to, and so on.
Ahead and got the mill scale off of the angle iron, off the 12.5-inch pieces that we're about to weld in, and all I'm going to do is take a little bit of acetone and an old microfiber cloth, and I'm just going to go ahead and wipe those down to get any oils or anything, dust that may be on them from grinding, just so you have a nice clean surface to weld to. So we got the 12.5-inch piece tacked into place. Remember, it's very important when you're welding the inside of your legs to have a very consistent straight bead, because you want to shove the brace as far up into the jack as you can get it. And the reason you want to do that is because when you get to this step, that bead is going to continue from the jack all the way down this brace, and then you're going to be able to weld between the jack and the brace itself again right here for added strength.
Yeah, and that's going to pretty much tie the factory jack into your makeshift extended jack down here that we've done, and literally join it together super well.
So a lot of you, if you want to get a good budget welder, the titanium MIG 140 from Harbor Freight has been awesome. I don't know how much stuff I've welded with it. I went through 4 or 5 30-pound spools of wire with it so far. But for this 3/16 stuff, the settings that I have on my wire feed speed, I have 198, and on my amperage I have 17.5, and then with my gas flow I have it about 22 with a 030 wire.
030 wire. And what kind of gas was that? Isn't there like a couple different
gases? That's 7525.
7525 gas running on the MIG welder. And on these 12.5-inch braces, this is what we was telling you about earlier. You can literally join all of this together through here when you go to weld on the 12.5 on both sides, and that adds a humongous amount of structural integrity.
Then you're going to take your 17.5-inch cross brace, and you're going to go on the side of the jack that already had the A-frame brace in it from the factory, and you're going to go up 4.5 inches from the edges of your angle iron legs, and that's where this is going to be perfectly level. 4.5 inches up on both sides. Even with that is where that is going to sit level. Guys, we're going to weld this into place, and then we'll move on to the feet.
So Charles just finished up welding the last one, the braces and everything, on the second jack stand that we saved to build for the video. Cutting the feet to be perfectly flat and flush to the ground. As you can see, this one I've already cut. So the 2 points that are going to contact the ground first if you don't cut it is right here and right here. So in order to get this to just land flat and flush on the ground, even with the floor, you want it to be level. So we done some calculating, and all you have to do is just measure up 3/4 inches up, not even 1 inch, just 3/4 of an inch up, and then run you a straight line to the point, and then go over here on the other side, measure back 3/4 of an inch as well. So cutting off 3/4 of an inch in a straight line on each side, all 4 sides will give you a jack stand sitting perfectly flat on the ground. And then we have just some 1/4 inch plate steel right here. Put the jack stand on that after you've done all of the cutting, and weld on these little pads. So we've got the feet cut, and as you can see, it's not perfectly stable. This next part is optional. You don't really have to do this, but we're gonna add awesome weight distribution to the jack if you ever wanted to use it on gravel or on blacktop. So what we're gonna be doing is putting this plate steel underneath the legs, as I told you earlier, but we want to get them perfectly on and centered symmetrically. So pretty much what you want to do is go from corner to corner, corner to corner on your perfectly square 4x4. This is 4 inches by 4 inches square piece of 1/4 inch plate steel. and you just want to use a straight edge and go corner to corner, corner to corner, and then down here, Charles, lift the jack up.
All we're gonna do here is put that corner there, so, and that way
that's
you know
gonna
that
give
it's perfectly centered in the plate.
Yes, so that's gonna perfectly center it on the plate. So Charles is tacking on the legs right now. You want to do this on flat ground, flat concrete. Go ahead and put all 4 pads underneath the jack. So obviously when using a cutting wheel, it's not going to be absolutely perfect. So it had very minimal movement anyway. But Charles is going around right now and tacking all 3 corners of the pads, and then he's going to run a couple passes around each side to get that fully welded on there. And then we're just going to run around the edges with a flat disc just to clean it up a little bit. We will get right back to the video here in just a second. Charles has a tech tip for any of you new beginner welders. If you're not wanting to spend a lot of money and build a metal fabrication table, he's going to talk about that here just a second to show you what he kind of done that saved him a lot of money, and you still get great, awesome results out of it, and it saves you money. So that's the big thing. Here he is.
All right, guys, so what I've done here is a lot of welding places will have just big metal tables that you can just ground your welder to and then sit whatever part it is on it that you want to weld. But what I did to save some money, because sheet metal is very expensive, is I built a wooden table, you know, a wooden workbench. It's very sturdy. And then all I did was take a 1/4 inch plate that's 12 by 12 inches wide, and I took some piping and drilled holes through each corner and welded these in so I have an air gap between the plate. And so whatever I'm welding, I can set on this to keep the heat off the table, off the wood.
Definitely.
And then all you have to do is ground to this plate. You have an air gap which insulates heat from the desk, and you can just set whatever part you want on here welding. So as you'll see through the video, you'll see me placing the jack stands in different positions on this plate where I'm welding to either ground it or keep the heat off the desk if I'm welding straight to this. All right, so when I was welding the feet on, what I did is I set each foot on this plate so I could weld it out and not transfer the heat to my metal desk, or to my wooden desk.
Yeah, so pretty much, and that air gap in between it reduces the heat going down into the wood. And you don't have to worry about getting a bad ground or anything. This all works out perfect. As you can see from Charles's welds, these welds look freaking awesome. Super, super clean welds, and all of these were done using the Harbor Freight 140 MIG that we talked about earlier in the video, and the table design, fabrication table design that he just now talked about, using that ground and just grounding your stuff to that plate. So humongous tech tip from Charles.
Now back to the video.
Just finished up welding the feet onto the jack stand. I'm gonna go ahead and show it to you. Here's our humongous beefy jack stand, under $150 in this jack stand right here. That is a 3-ton jack stand. This thing is towering. Now remember, this steel comes up even more and it's perfectly stable. But this thing is towering, how big?
28 5/8 to the lowest part of your...
28 5/8 to the lowest part, and your frame usually sits right here. So literally almost 29 inches, over 2 feet off the ground, compared to, measure out this one, Charles. So this is just a normal 3-ton. This one is barely 12.
Yeah,
exactly
barely.
a foot. So literally almost 3 times the size of a 3-ton floor jack. And that's not even including, you can go to your tallest setting safely, supposedly. I like to stay 1 or 2 notches below. But that is literally over, how tall?
40 inches.
40 inches. So almost 4 feet tall on a jack stand. Before I close out the video, I just wanted to show you awesome storage too with this. Before, they didn't really want to sit on top of each other because they weren't super tall, but now that they're taller, you can take out like the black posts that go inside of them, and literally they fit right underneath our added bracing perfectly, and they stack on top of each other. So just wanted to show you that right quick, how easily and how much space they take up. Really fit in a 23 by 23 inch square, and they are only 33 inches tall. after you pull out the black pieces and stack them on top of each other. So these can easily go in the corner of your garage somewhere and not take up a whole lot of space, even though they are so big. So I just want to give a big, huge shout out to Charles for helping me do all of the welding, all the steering, everything on the truck. If you check out the channel and you watch the channel, Charles is the man behind the screen that does all of the welding for me. Me and him work together, fabricate all kinds of stuff all the time. His username will be popping up right here on Instagram if you ever need any fabrication work or have any fabrication questions, welding questions, anything like that. Hit up my boy Charles right here on Instagram. So of course, now that you have your jack stands done, you can either paint them or have them powder coated like I'm gonna be doing, and I will show that in a later on future video. So click that subscribe button down below and turn on that notification bell. We're gonna be revealing the truck here shortly. We're almost done installing the 10-inch lift, overkill fabrication grill, all kinds of powder coat from Single Shot Powder Coating out of Science Hill, Kentucky. So again, this is humongous jack stand how-to video brought to you by me, Justin Hawk Smith, and Charles right here behind me. I want to give a humongous shout out to him and a humongous shout out to you all on the channel. We just now went over 1,000 subscribers. I really appreciate all the support on the channel. I hope this video helps a lot of you lifted truck guys out there. You can build these jack stands for literally under $150 or right around $150. Of course, metal shop prices, metal prices at metal shops around the US are going to fluctuate and vary, of course, but roughly around $150 to have humongous jack stands when comparable size jack stands are well over $250 plus shipping. These are great jack stands, gives you something to do, super fun building it in the garage, especially if you have a guy that welds and a buddy that welds, or if you weld yourself and you enjoy doing that kind of stuff on the side, or if you just do it as a hobby or whatever. If you have a welder, you can build these jack stands for under $150. Once again, thanks for watching the video. Hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up. I really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.